Welcome back to the Pursuit of Accuracy. I'm Josh. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Vortex Razor Gen 3. This is in mils. Now, if you guys have been around the channel, you know that I am not a huge Vortex fan. So this is a Vortex Gen 3 review coming from what some of you may call a Vortex hater. So I will not be holding back, and obviously my results aren't skewed on this. Now, I own a ton of middle to high-end scopes, and I think that's where this optic falls in, probably at the top of those in price point, but it's not what I would call like a top tier scope, not in form, function, or quality, but what I'm talking about is strictly in price point, because you do have those like Zico, Tangent Theta, the new Colossus, these scopes that are going to run you between $3,000 and $5,000. Now, below $3,000, I'm going to go ahead and tell you this thing's really good. But what I do like to do, and I think that you guys who have been around the channel for a while know, I don't like to do a typical review. I don't like to talk about the specs. This scope has been around for a while. You guys probably already know the specs. You already know what it does. You already know those kind of things. I want to talk to you, just kind of guy to guy on the range. As somebody who also probably shoots precision rimfire, would you be interested in buying this scope? Is it going to be worth it at the price point? And what are you going to get out of it? So I'm going to show you that through the scope cam today. I do have my little monitor here. Now, I typically shoot around 12 power. So we're gonna start there. We're gonna shoot a little bit at the KYL. Again, we're using super random lots, leftover lots of Ely match. So, you know, it's not really like a rifle review or barrel review on how accurate this is, but we're gonna shoot this. We're gonna go out to 180 yards. I do have my little screen here that is actually showing me what you guys are seeing. So I'll try and keep that image pretty good, or as good as I can keep it. But we'll start at 50 yards. Because I want to talk about the reticle. I want to talk about the fact that this is a 6-36, and then we'll get into the controls, the illumination, the image quality, those kind of things as it relates to precision rimfire. So let's get straight into it. All right, so 50 yards, 12 power. Obviously, it's pretty good. The reticle's a hair thin, but totally usable. Oh yeah, look at that mud. Go down to the quarter here. A little hidden, still not a problem. Okay. And that was really easy. So let's push out to 100 yards. It's going to give us an opportunity to talk about some other things. So as I parallax this in, and I'll go kind of in and out of focus, I'll show you that parallax is at 300 yards. So one, the controls on this are very, very smooth. And two, the one thing I've noticed is the parallax is very, very forgiving. So as you can see here, if we zoom in on the camera, this is kind of in parallax around 100 yards. Look how much I'm able to turn this and still stay pretty well in focus. And if we peel back the magnification, you're gonna get away with a lot more. Look how much I'm turning this. So one thing I can say for sure, parallax, very forgiving, controls, very, very forgiving. Let's go out here, so let's stay around that 12, 13 power. That's kind of what I shoot. And we're gonna dial up. Again, turret's very, very positive. I think I should be somewhere around 1.7, but we're gonna find out with this ammunition really quickly. Little bit of left to right, I believe. Yep, little left to right. And as you can see, and obviously I can see, seeing a lot of the bullet, a lot of the trace and when switching. Yep. So let's crank up the magnification. All right, we're topped off. We're gonna go after the 1/4 inch here, and we're just basically gonna see what we can see as far as hits or misses. I'll hold it straight up. Oh, okay, well, that was pretty easy to see because we hit it. Just off left, very easy to see that miss. And a follow-up correction. Just off left. Let's try and shoot a little group here. Let's back out. So this is, so what you're seeing right here at 100 yards is 36 power. We're gonna go ahead and turn on illumination all the way. You can see it is daylight bright. Although I've seen, you know, brighter daylight bright, you know, scopes in this price range, but, you know, illumination is one of those things I think people kind of put too much stock in. It's nice to have, and if you're shooting into something that's very low light to be able to see your reticle, that makes a difference. But you know, whether or not you can see it like during the daylight, looking at something that's good conditions is almost irrelevant, because you really only need it when you can't see your reticle because the background is so dark. And in that case, you know, this illuminated reticle is doing its job, you know, off, on. It's doing its job for sure. So more than usable. All right, let's shoot a group. I'm just gonna hold. There's actually a little tiny dot. I don't know if you guys see, my reticle's just off of it. Okay, basically covered that dot up. And we are just stacking them. That one did fall a hair low, but still, really just lacing them in there. All right, so I'm gonna back this out, let's say to my normal 12 power, and I wanna showcase the forgiveness of the Parallax here, because I think that's honestly what you're paying for. Is the turrets are really, really good. Obviously, it has some really cool features about the Zero. We'll talk a little bit about that later. You probably already know. But we're gonna keep this kind of Parallax for 100. We're gonna look and shoot at 50. We'll just go on 0, we'll do holders, and then we're gonna go all the way out to 150 yards to show you guys kind of what you can get away with. Because if you're a competitive shooter, a lot of times you're shooting on the clock and you need to do it fast. So there's often times where I won't change my Parallax at all, even though that's, you know, not ideal for sure. But it is a time saver, and a lot of times the targets are big enough, and if you have enough time behind the gun, you can consistently get behind it. It's not going to be, you know, a big deal as far as hitting or missing targets. So we're zeroed out. Let's see, let's go. That's 10 power. We'll stay around 12. All right, so I'm actually just going to show you this. So this is 50, so you can see 50 yards we are Parallax for 100, and that's not bad at all. You can definitely shoot it, and honestly, what I'm seeing through my eye and what you're seeing there are two totally different things. What I'm seeing actually looks quite a bit better. We'll go out to 100. Let me go ahead and, all right, so now you're looking at 100, which is what we're parallaxed in, and then we're gonna go out here all the way to 150. And again, to my eyeball, looks quite a bit better than what I'm seeing in the monitor. So let me try and match those up actually. So that's about the clarity of what I'm seeing through my eye, even though I'm parallaxed at 100 and you guys are seeing it a little worse. But again, so extremely forgiving parallax, you know, pretty exceptional quality, and I think that's what you're paying for here. The turrets have been working really well. I have had no issues. They are locking. I tend to not like locking turrets, but this is really positive. I haven't had an issue with this coming down at all. And again, it has what a lot of people really like is the infinite zero. All right, so a little bit of a different angle, but I wanted to show you guys this zero process. So you simply loosen these Allen keys here, and I'll show you in B-roll, but you've got little slots on the top. And basically everything here, we'll go ahead and lock it down. I'll move this, this wasn't locked down. We're gonna lock everything down on 0. And this is on a different rifle, so we're gonna see. I'm just gonna aim right here into the berm. I'll increase this a little bit. And I'm actually gonna use a monitor. All right, so we were low about a little bit over a mil and probably a mil right. So all we need to do is move this to where our reticle moves to where our impact was. So about-ish there, and we'll walk this in. All right, let's try that again. Let's pick a spot. Let's go to the top of this leaf. Okay, so that's pretty close. We're gonna transition over to paper now. So we'll increase the magnification here. We should be close enough. Let's aim at bottom left-hand corner of that at the number 5. Okay, make sure that's consistent. Yeah, same exact hole. All right, so at this point, I'm just gonna hold the rifle. I'm actually gonna build up a little bit on the bag. Let's see. I'm gonna hold that there, and I'm gonna move the reticle to my impact. And again, this is infinite, so we can get this exact. Okay. We're about there. I always seem to go the wrong way first. All right. Let's try that. Okay, that's pretty money. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say that's gonna do the trick. So now all we need to do is lock everything down. Quick snug on these. No need to go absolutely crazy. And overall, really, really good scope. I do find that the reticle is about the perfect size. Maybe a hair on the small size. If you're older and you're struggling with vision and you like to shoot at lower magnification, there are optics out there, I think, with thicker reticles, but mostly being a 6-36, that's gonna be most of the issue. We have to have a reticle that we can basically still see at 6 power and a reticle that's not absolutely consuming everything at 36 power. So I do think that this scope lends itself to be shot at a little higher power, somewhere around 20 power magnification. Even guys who don't have the best vision in their eyes are really gonna be able to use this. And again, we've talked about this before, and I have my Tacticam on the way, but I'm running a red dot over the top of this. So this enables you to run higher magnification, say something like 25 power, and locate where you're gonna be aiming with that actual red dot. And then when you get behind the scope, you're looking at what you need to be looking at, so you're not hunting. That higher magnification is not going to hurt you. But overall, like I said, I got to give it up, you know, from somebody that would probably be labeled as a Vortex hater. This is a really, really great scope for the money. Hopefully, this has been a kind of more of a guy's review, more of something that like you would want to hear from a buddy and not just your typical generic scope review. You guys have seen me shooting this. This is not going anywhere. Quickly becoming one of my favorites. If you have the money, if this is in your budget, this is in your price range, you can't go wrong. You absolutely cannot go wrong with this. Now, I still love a lot of my other scopes, and I know a lot of you guys are gonna ask me, well, how's this compare to the Mark V? How's it compare to the Contract? How's it compare to the Theos? Well, the simple answer is this is more money than those scopes. Every scope I listed before, and all those scopes I mentioned are a really good value for the money. But you're spending more as you go up and you're getting more. So this is definitely a case where you're paying more and getting more, and that's how it should be. So if you're a top level competitor or you just want the best that you can afford, and what you can afford is at, you know, right at, you know, mid $25,000 to $3,000, then yeah, you absolutely can't go wrong with this. I appreciate you guys watching. Catch you on the next one.